Everybody, and welcome. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that means it's time for another edition of Warhammer Weekly. As you can see, I'm broadcasting from a hidden lair. I've been kidnapped by the Slan, of course, taken up into their ships. They've recreated this environment to make me feel at home, and I appreciate it. So that's very good. Joining me this week, as always, is Teeny Weeny himself. It's Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Also joining us is Marrok, a well-known Lizardman enthusiast in the community. How you doing, Marrok?
I'm doing good.
All right, fantastic. Joining us from the Great White North. I'm sure winter has already set in there. You spend most of your days trying to escape direwolves and White Walkers, but I'm glad you managed to join us.
It's actually really strange right now. We had some snow, and then it decided to rain, so now we have none. Usually right now, at this time of year, it's like minus 35 degrees Celsius, which I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, but
We don't either.
It's cold, and it was +6 today, so I don't know what the hell's going on, but I don't like it.
Wow. Well, I can do the translation for you real quick. Carry the 4, way too cold. That's the answer. So there you go. That's official math. All right. So as usual, let's jump right into the news. So Tom, kick us off, buddy. What do we got?
The big news this week, everybody's been talking about it, the return of the specialist games. Let me just say, by the way, I think somebody either at GW or amongst the rumor mongers are trolling us. Because for the last 2 weeks, like very, very, very large pieces of news, like Archeon and then the specialist games have dropped literally the morning after the show's over. So that it's like in the news cycle for like 4 to 5 days before we get to touch it. It's terrible, I'm telling you.
Yeah, they really need to plan their releases better. So yes, their release of rumors, the return of specialist games. And specifically, I saw the official letter finally yesterday, I think, that went around. And they do call out specifically in there Blood Bowl, Necromunda, Battlefleet, Gothic. To me, this is fantastic news. I see, and really for the most part, I saw a huge amount of positivity on Twitter and on the internet. There's a couple ne'er-do-wells who were negative about it, but for the most part, there's a lot of excitement out there about this, and duh. I mean, there's still an international, like worldwide Blood Bowl championship that like 30 people or 30 countries, attend. Clearly, these games have traction.
Yeah, it's funny, like your response, it cracked me up when I told you, I sent you that message, because you're like, if there's anything that I would have woken up to this morning, it was, and like not like expected, it was not that.
Right. Absolutely. Look, a week ago, there's no way. If I would have said to the people out there in the community, hey, I'll give you 10-to-1 odds specialist games come back in the next day, nobody would have taken that bet. You know what I mean? 100-to-1 odds. Nobody's taking that bet. That's action that's not happening.
Yep.
Right? Nobody saw this coming. It just popped out of nowhere.
So there was a.
What do you think, Marrok, about the return of specialist games? Like, I know obviously you're a Mordheim fanatic like myself.
Yeah.
Were there any others that you had played or enjoyed or would like to see return?
I'm a fan of Blood Bowl. I wouldn't mind seeing that come back. I'm not into the whole. Well, basically anything with guns, really, I'm not into. So.
All right.
Laser beams and whatnot.
Do you do dwarves?
No.
Nobody likes dwarves, Tom. You know that. No, that's fair. I can accept that. And like I said, in sort of that was obviously the topic of the week too. And like I said, I would love to see some new specialist games. I really think they're putting a big division behind this. We're not just going to see a re-release of all the old classics. I think we're going to see some new stuff too.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, I think we ought to talk about this for a minute, because, there was, like, first of all, let's talk about the absence. There was something that wasn't on that list.
Mordheim.
And that like Mordheim being one of their most successful specialist games.
True.
It was quite surprising. So what are your guys' thoughts on that, on the absence of Mordheim?
They can't do it any better than Vince and Tom already did it. So
yeah, we pushed them out of the market.
Why bother?
I think that, well, there's two possibilities. One, it's going to be some kind of real expansion for AOS, right? Two, it's just not at the top of their list, because right now what they're pushing with Fantasy is Age of Sigmar. They didn't feel that it really needed any kind of, like, invigorating thing. Like, they have enough Age of Sigmar releases just putting out new armies, new forces, new stuff. Fantasy release. And there's no reason to think we couldn't get releases set in the old world, even if not Mordheim. Because, look, I mean, the Betrayal at Calaith, the Horus Heresy box, that's like 10,000 years before the current time in Warhammer 40k. If they're not afraid to go 10,000 years in the past in 40k, they're certainly probably not afraid to go dip into the old world for, for fantasy. I mean, that world is a world like pre-Xenos. Everybody's unified. You've got Space Marine on Space Marine. It's just a bunch of dudes with giant necks punching each other. And yet that's like, sold 1 million.
It's funny that you say that, because, I talked about this a little bit on the post, that you had posted on the YouTubers group, because it seems set just perfect for me. Like, if they're looking on managing like lower yield products than their main like flagship lines, like it seems like things like even like Warhammer 8th, like just a maintenance of releasing the books and pointing people to the main game lines. Like, it would take a very low maintenance to re-release a bunch of the books and even put out like the last three books. And it would take, if they waited another 6 months to do a release like that, it would take very little design work for, just 1 or 2 designers to be able to pump something like that out, and it would take almost no support on their end, and yet be able to touch and reach back into that market.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've heard this too. Like, could Warhammer Fantasy Battle, like 8th edition, find a home here? And I'll generally say no. First of all, I think you're underestimating the effort involved. Like, any kind of release like that requires a lot of people. Just in the raw number of people you got to do. Design, you've got art resources. Even if they're doing any kind of new thing. If it's literally just released all the old crap, okay, fine, that takes almost no one. But that still takes like a team of 3 people in a company that size.
Well, and
even just nothing new.
Sure. What I'm saying is that yes, there would only be 3 new products maybe over the next couple years, with a bunch of re-releases with different covers of their original book line.
Yeah, I mean, if it's truly a new book, that's a 10-person job at bare mins, and realistically, it's probably more like 15 to 20.
That's not including artists.
Yeah, exactly. That's where that part of that number is coming from. You have designers, you have writers, you have layout people, you have editors, you have the art director, you've got individual artists, and we haven't even touched out to like marketing and other support structure around.
But you're assuming that most of that work isn't already done. We know that GW makes stuff and scraps it all the time, and just never release it. They sit on models.
Tom.
They sit on models all the time. I mean,
we
know that.
They don't ever do that. What are you talking about?
Like, what I'm saying is that these things may be in the pipeline.
I'm assuming it's not finished. If it needs to be done at all, I don't care if the book's already written. Who cares? That's one guy or 2 people.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. I don't mean to be sexist. I'm not trying to say that. It's one person. There's still like that's where the easy part is. I could bang out a book in a weekend. That's simple. Actually releasing it that's where all the effort is. That's where you have to bring in a ton more people. So I mean, I just don't see it. I don't think they want to. I don't think it's competition to AOS. So my pushback is not, will they be competing with their own product? I don't think.
Right.
It's a completely different game. There's no competition there. Like I've said it before that I don't think, like take Ninth Age for example. Ninth Age isn't competing with Age of Sigmar. The profile of the people who want to play those games, the type of games, they're completely different. Mm-hmm. Right? That's like saying people playing poker are competing with, people playing, Magic the Gathering or something. Like, no, those aren't. It's not really similar. They're using cards. That's about where the similarity ends.
But what I'm saying is that specialist games we know is basically being taken over by the Forge World or largely the Forge World crew, and we know that they've released books before.
Sure.
Arguably balanced, or arguably not. Like they have the ability to pull those types of things together, is what I'm saying. Sure. Apart from the other teams, and so I would argue that it's a potential or a possibility.
Fair. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying I think it unlikely. There you go.
Well, if I'd asked you where you thought specialist games were a week ago,
that's a fair point. I don't disagree with you.
Yep.
All right. What else we got?
But look at where being a skeptic got him. All the specialist games are coming back. So if he keeps doing that, all the great things are going to happen. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's definitely not coming back. There you go.
Certainly. The point I want to put, like the fine point I want to put on this though at the end is that what this announcement tells me is that there's a much larger strategic plan in place.
Yes.
From GW, to address the market as a whole, not just individual things. And so I think that AOS seems to only be in the first step in a very large shakeup. And I think that with the new publishing announcement that they just made, I think we're going to begin to see some of that.
Well, if you never expect anything, you'll never be disappointed. So.
Good advice. Aim low. That's my motto.
Okay, so Archeon coming out next week. We got confirmation of that. He is called the Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse. Is that the...
It's something like that, yes. The High Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse or something. Yep. He has a very long, lengthy title. High Grand Marshal Archeon something of the Apocalypse. Blah, blah, blah. Exalted Champion, yada, 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 chaos stuff. So I think he goes, I guess the rumor is he goes on pre-order next week, basically during what would be the post-Thanksgiving sale, rush, adventure. Yep.
So with that, we'll also, it sounds like, potentially have Christmas bundles coming up in the next, for pre-order that next week. And there's some new bundles that look like with both the starter, which comes with it looks like a hobby kit and some primer. Looks like a new Stormcast Eternals box and a new Khorne Bloodbound box. What grabbed my attention, and then obviously a bunch of 40K stuff, but what grabbed my attention about it was actually the new terrain box, the Chaos Dreadhold Hellfort. Did you guys see this box?
I did, yeah. I can't really share right now given the speed of my connection and what's going on where I am. But yes, I did see the box, and it looks interesting. It's like, what, $290 or something, right?
Yeah, it looks like $290 from what I can tell from the picture. And I have the book, the Chaos Dreadhold book, and that Hellfort doesn't have a War Scroll. So from the box, it looks like there's a tower, and it looks like there is the whatever it's called. There's two different, the small tower and the big tower. And I don't know if there are any wall pieces in there as well. It looks like there might be one, a couple wall pieces.
Yeah, one would almost assume you've got to have some kind of wall pieces if you've got two towers, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be just a bunch of towers.
It could. And here's the thing about that. So the Lizardmen re-release, which is obviously what we're going to be talking about during our feature segment today, actually had a bundle that saved you money, right? Yeah. It had Thunder Beast Host, which was actually not bad prices by retail standards. You basically got the Ripper Dipper Doos for free.
Yep.
I think it ended up being like $5 or something in the total mix. That's pretty darn good by the standards of GW, where normally they're saving you the clicks,
Sure.
So, I really, for one, hope that this heralds that they're on it. They're like, why aren't we doing bundles? Let's do some bundles. I hope we see a lot more Thunder Beast Host type stuff. I think that's pretty awesome.
I'm excited. If they actually go down that road, that's going to just be fantastic.
You've got enough models to paint, Tom.
Hey, shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, so that's coming. It looks like we have Christmas bundles coming. The Forge World has a coupon for free shipping if you buy 75 pounds worth of stuff, but it's for free shipping for your next order.
Yeah,
Not
in
your...
2016, by the way. So not only can you not, like, you can't turn around and use it immediately during Christmas either. You've got to wait till 2016 to use that coupon. This is like this is the worst like pay it forward coupon bonanza I've ever heard. That is some shady stuff you got there going on, Forge World.
Do you? Wow, I don't even have any response to that. Okay, one of the other rumors that came up was that that we may have some Black Friday action from GW itself. They had some deals last year. They weren't real significant, I don't remember, but there's talk of at least the possibility of Black Friday deals. So keep your eyes open for that. We
Probably like the paint that they're gonna put out of fucking action.
Just bulking it up.
Yeah.
Right before it's gone, just tons of pots of the paint.
Yeah.
Instead of getting disappeared.
Oh, that would be hilarious. And a square bases. That's what they're selling. And movement trays. And then finally, like talking about Black Friday deals, I would just say for those of you guys that have local game stores, I know that a lot of my local game stores often run Black Friday style deals, large percentage, like sweeping discounts on the store inventory sometimes. And then I know the War Store last year had a deal, which was like another. If you guys are not familiar with the War Store, it's fantastic, but they are normally like 20% off GW stuff, and I think they were another 10% off for Black Friday last year. So you can really get some stuff at very good prices, brand new. So keep your eyes open.
Go.
I don't know if they're doing it this year, but they might be. They did last year.
Yeah, they tend to announce pretty close to the day, so I would say watch next week. It's just thewarstore.com, or if you just Google the War Store, you'll find it.
Yep.
All right. Did we have any other news, or are we turning to Marrok for our final piece of news?
We're turning to Marrok.
All right, Marrok, go ahead. Announce your announcement.
Okay, so I was talking to Vince before the show, and I want to do a contest. So we're talking about the Seraphim and the new Seraphim book that was just released. So I figured, hey, why don't we do a Seraphim-based contest? So here's the stipulations. In the comments below, I want you to put in the name of your favorite Seraphim hero. Yeah. So put that in the comments down below. And on next week's show, Vince is going to take all them names and put them in a hat. And he's going to take it out. And whoever's name he draws will win the model that they chose. And it will be completely hand sculpted by me. And I will send that out to you, no cost.
That is a pretty square deal, my friend. And for those of you not familiar with, by the way, when he says sculpted by him, I just want to impress upon everyone that Marrok is a wizard with sculpting and green stuff and putty. See his entire Mordheim table, see the multitude of Lizardmen he has sculpted from scratch. If you go check out Marrok's channel, which of course will be linked below, you can go look at his videos of like making the various models he's done. Yeah, so that's a hell of a deal. I'm pretty excited. So yeah, I assume you want like special characters' names, right? So we're talking about the specific name of the special character, yes?
Yeah, like we're talking. Well, the Seraphim no longer have special characters. They have like your Source Sunblood, your Source Old Blood, your those guys. And I'm okay. We'll put this in here just in case someone does pick something crazy like the Source Old Blood on Carnosaur. I'm letting you guys know right now that if you pick the Source Old Blood on Carnosaur, it's going to take me a really long time.
Well, but not saying you can't do it.
Not
just
saying I'm not going to
6
do it.
months before you get it.
I'm just saying it's going to be a while.
All right. So there you go. Put your comments down there. Pick a special character. It doesn't have, it could be, they could pick the proper names, I assume, if they go back at any point back in the Lizardmen history, right? We can.
Yeah.
Because Lizardmen classically had a lot of really crazy special characters back in like 5th and 6th. Okay.
So, yeah, put their name down below. Vince will pick your name out at the end of next week's show, and then I'm obviously gonna watch, so I'll find out who it is, what they picked, and I'll get to work.
I like it. All right, so there you go. Let's see some comments. Let's see some special characters, and next week we'll pick a winner. So, looking forward to that. That's an awesome offer, Marrok. Total props. You're the man. So let's. Speaking of making something from scratch, hey, that's what we call a segue, folks. Right into hobby time. So, Marrok, you're the guest as usual. So before you're working on handcrafting this model for somebody, what are you working on right now?
I just finished laying the snow down on several pieces of my Mordheim table. And what does that mean? That means that the paint on those models is, well, almost done. I haven't done crates and stuff yet, but I'll give you guys a look at what that looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Me, there we go. We'll focus on him. Absolutely. And every bit of that was sculpted by you, correct?
Every bit of that was molded and casted by me.
There you go. I will accept that. So yes, the fact that you went through what, 30 pounds of
60 pounds of plaster.
60 pounds of plaster. All right, so there you go. Man, that's looking great, buddy. Let me tell you what. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it's coming out all right. Once it's, I'm gonna do another video this week with all the pieces together and that, so everybody can see what it looks like in conjunction with the other pieces.
Very nice. Dig it. All right, so Tom, what about you, buddy? What's on your table?
Can you take a guess? One word.
Stunties?
It's a stunty. That's what's on your table.
Dwarves is what I choose to call them. Yeah, so I got my pledge done, as some of you guys saw on the PMP, for October, and now I am forging ahead on November. So I'm hoping to actually make it on time this time around, which will be nice.
We're very proud of you, Tom.
Well, thanks. Hey, I had a lot of models. I had like half of my model count last for October.
I know, it was a ton of figs, man. You did a good job, too.
Thanks. So I'm forging ahead and doing a bunch of special characters and units for this month. So it'll be good.
Very nice. I am on the road this week, so I have nothing to show, and I haven't gotten to paint or do anything for a while. So I'm getting a little bit of shakes. You know, going through the standard symptoms of withdrawal. That's a real problem. That being said, before I left, I had started on my scratch-built War Altar of Tzeentch. I finally decided what I'm going to do. This won't be, like, it's going to be for the army that I'm building as part of the budget of Sigmar, but I didn't, like, it's not going to be in the budget of Sigmar. I'm just going to do a bunch of crap for that army that's out extra to the project. This is one of them because I'm just literally scratch building it out of, like, parts, just stuff I have in my collection, and so I wouldn't know how to cost anyways. For those of you out there watching, what's that?
Did you go with the disc idea?
Yes, and a lot more, like, whatever, but we'll see. You'll see as we get there. You already saw part of it, Tom, because I sent you a picture of it when you asked me how to do glowing runes, and then I did.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Got it.
Now I feel left out. Thanks a lot.
Sorry. I'll send you some photos afterward too, just so you can feel included.
But they're not going to be the War Altar.
Right. It's not going to be anything but the War Altar. I'm just going to send you some more private photos, man. Yeah, I'm excited about that, and I'll probably do a bunch because I've got a bunch of just like chaos stuff I want to build for this Tzeentch army, just out of random bits. None of it's going to be Budget of Sigmar stuff. It's just I want to put to use a bunch of garbage that I've had in my collection for a while that I have no idea how to value. So I'm just going to shove it together and make something, because why not? So, as always, we want to know what you're working on, hopefully while you're watching this. We always like to believe that while we're doing this, models in the world are becoming not gray. That is always our eternal goal. Another note on Hobby Time, just real quick before we leave this behind, is that since I'm on the road all this week, and I will be fiending to get in some Hobby Time, and I already know I don't have a game this weekend because people had holiday stuff, I already know there's going to be a paint-a-sode in the clip this weekend, so there we go. We should be able to put some serious paint-a-sode time up on the board. Okay, so that out of the way, let us turn to our feature for tonight. So our feature segment, we're going to talk all about the Lizardmen, and I know that book has a different name on the cover. I don't care. We're going to call it Lizardmen. Now, you can call them Seraphon. You can call it whatever you want. I don't really care. But I'm going to call them Lizardmen, and that's just fine. So, to begin with, I thought we would start out by having Marrok, who you have the Battletome. So you've gotten all caught up on the Lizardmen as they currently stand. So why don't you walk us, Marrok? Obviously, we can't do the whole book breakdown. We don't have time for the whole review. But I thought maybe we'd do a top 3 things that you thought were notable, worth mentioning, mystery solved, really interesting, really terrible, really great, whatever. However you want to split it. The 3 things that you feel everybody needs to know about Lizardmen in the Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
So, shoot.
Number 1, first thing you need to know is I'm going to correct the miscommunication from the last episode of Warhammer Weekly. So I tried to clarify, and it didn't come through. So the first thing that all of the Slaanesh people need to know, it was not Slaanesh who suffered a fate worse than death.
Oh.
It was the Herald of Slaanesh who faced a fate worse than death. And that fate worse than death was the truth. And the last line in that sentence is the last things that could be heard from the tomb of the dead gods were the screams of denial from the Herald of Slaanesh. So what that means, I don't know. Is Slaanesh gone? Is she trapped in a human's body? I don't know. But I just thought I'd clarify that. Number 2, the Seraphon are made of stars now. They are no longer flesh and blood. They are actually in a realm that is above the lore of heavens, if that's possible. I don't know. And yeah, basically, they don't bleed anymore. When you cut them, light comes out, which is strange and slightly demonic, I guess. Maybe that's why they got the demon keyword now. And for this is kind of melds into number 2, but my number 3 thing is that the old ones, as in the gods of the Lizardmen, are gone. They no longer seem to exist. Instead of it being the plan of the old ones, it is now the plan of the Slann. And the Slann's plan is to kick chaos right in the dick. And like literally that's all they've been doing for the millennia that they've been disappeared, has just been chaos shows up somewhere and the Lizardmen just, the Slann think them into existence and they appear. The story is just literally that's what it is the Slann thinks up, okay, we need some Slann here, and then poof, they're just there.
You know, they probably could have like enacted that plan 10,000 years ago.
They probably could have. But those Slan that were on the old world were primitive folk. Now they've gone above the realm of heavens, so they're more enlightened than they were before.
So let's touch on a couple things. There's a lot to unpack from all of that.
Oh yeah.
So I had heard that from my various. I haven't gotten to dig through the book yet, but I had heard from my various musings that and researchings that the Slan were actually like found by the same big star dragon that found Sigmar, and he's who led them to the mortal realms. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. He found them slumbering in the stars.
Okay, so they were in cryo in their space. Right?
Pretty much.
And they're lizards.
All right,
that
explains why what they've been doing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do they ever talk about any of the old Lizardmen besides the Slan still being alive? Like, did any Skinks or Saurus, are there any still around?
The only like Skinks and Saurus are still around, but are you talking about like special characters sort of deal? Like any names?
No, just like the normal ones. Like Skinks and Sauruses that aren't remembered into existence. Just like, you know, are there also Skinks and Sauruses on the spaceship that just help out the Slan and crap like that?
No, like from what I've read, it just seems like the Slan were the only ones who took off into space, and they just remember the Saurus and Saurus Temple Guard and Skinks being their defenders, so they poof and they're there.
Huh. Wow. Now, okay, so that's interesting. I mean, it's possible to think, of course, that there could have been Skinks and Saurus who went with him and they just died in the intervening period, because Slan are obviously like way longer lived than that.
All of them.
If we assume then also cryo sleep in the mix or something, then that really does expand it out.
Yeah.
I had heard there was also a giant picture of you see like one of their pyramid spaceships. It doesn't look totally like a pyramid anymore, and the comparison I heard from a completely independent source who has never, I think, watched the episode where I talked about this, was that it looks like the Necron's pyramid.
It does.
So
which only
those
furthers
were
my
going to convert
support.
that model up. Boom, it already exists.
That only furthers my support that Vince secretly works for GW under wraps.
There you go.
He's in his bunker right now.
So maybe they are the origin of the Neocrons, like Lord Croak, Neocron Lord.
Necron,
whatever.
I'm saying it wrong too. We're all saying it wrong, but that's fine.
Sure. However you want to say it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they're not new. They're not Neocrons, but I'm also mispronouncing it. There's no long E there. But at any rate, yeah, I would love it if the Necrons turned out to be proto-lizardmen and all the Satan were just weird Slan creatures that had somehow survived. That'd be great. I'm all for that. But just weird, twisted, crazy frogs all became like death and other creatures of madness. So they're remembering all these Slan into existence. Or sorry, all these Saurus and Skinks, all these lizardmen into existence. They don't. Do they ever hint in there at all that like the Slan are interested in kickstarting their race? I mean, they were always, even in the old world, they were masters of genetic manipulation, right? Like they were doing genetic manipulation before it was cool. They're the true hipsters of Gen Ed. So you know, it doesn't seem beyond the pale that they could put together some primordial soup that makes up new lizardmen, especially since they're still around.
You would think, but it doesn't really allude to any of that. It just sort of says that the Slan have this master plan to get rid of chaos, and that's all they got. It's not sort of like from what you gather, because they actually name some of the Slans in the book, that there's not that many of them left. So like, I'm not sure if they already have done and there's like a ton of them, or if it's just like 5 Slan and they've just conjured up these massive armies. It's fairly vague in that sense.
Well, that would be pretty sweet.
Now, I noticed Lord Croak actually showed up in the Seraphon War Scrolls. Does he ever get dropped by name in the book?
Not in the book, no. He's a special character still. He's actually got a really super beautiful piece of artwork in the book, but his name never comes up in any of the stories.
Huh. So I wonder if maybe there won't be like a supplemental novel or something that involves these guys, and that's where he shows up, right? And so because they knew the background of the fluff, they were like, well, Lord Croak is still around, so we'll put him in here with these scrolls, and he'll actually come up in a novel.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say that this reinforces a theory, or what I point out, that maybe they're going down to like one special character per army. It's like that's what we have again, right? We have one named character, one unique character in an entire battle book.
Yeah.
This is the exact same thing we had for the Stormcast, and I think also for Khorne, right?
I haven't looked inside the Khorne tome. You're saying like Skarbrand would be the named guy in the Khorne tome?
Yeah.
No,
Right.
so they have two then, because they also have because Skarbrand is the bloodthirster, right?
Right.
They've got that guy from the starter box as well, right?
Well, Corvus Cole, I think, is just labeled as Chaos Lord in the tome. I don't think he actually gets his own name. He's like Old Blood on Carnosaur. It's, Chaos Lord with Cornpound or whatever, right? Interesting. So let's go to some. So, all right. I'm sure that's some crazy stuff, right? I mean, we are way outside the box on this. So here's what I'll say. Marrok, being the biggest fan of Lizardmen here, before in the old world and such, how do you feel about this change, about this, like, the Slann remembering the Skinks and Sauruses into existence, hence why they can summon them with magic, and they're not literally teleporting in, as I had joked and guessed many times. They're imagining them in.
Yeah.
Right?
It's, to be honest, like, I kind of like the idea of that, because the Slann were supposed to be these all-powerful magicians to begin with. So I'm all right with them sort of imagining these guys into existence. I'm not okay with the way that they're still so vague with everything, though. Like, like they kind of tell you what's going on, but you really don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I do, yeah.
You're watching Shadow Puppets. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, like, and in terms of, like, special characters and things of that nature, Lord Croak is not one of the ones that I thought would have made it. Like, he's a bunch of dried up bones. So, like, he wouldn't have been my first pick for characters that showed up a bajillion years later.
Sure. Well, I mean, he was the one who actually saved the Lizardmen there at the end.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we go back to Thanquol, Mazdamundi dies using the last of his magic as he's, like, crawling up the stairs as the big giant meteorite is coming down. Mazdamundi, like, deflects a bunch of it and basically prevents the world from exploding. And Lord Croak, like, wakes up and is like, all right, time to go. And he reaches out and directs the pyramids to all shoot off into space. So, I think it probably makes sense if he's the one who's still around. He was always, we're talking about a guy who's powerful enough that he died, and without any kind of necromancy, just decided to stick around.
Yeah,
right.
because he could, yeah.
And still continues to stick around.
Yeah.
Right. There's plenty of characters who are alive after death, but they're all using, like, necromantic magic to beat that. He just decided not to leave. He's like, nah,
maybe tomorrow.
I'll die tomorrow.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, no, it's interesting, and I've heard a lot of mixed reactions about it. There are people who are like, I know there's probably a lot of, well, I'll call it not loving it, to put it mildly, from, existing Lizardmen players. But I also heard some newer people who, for newer players who are coming into the game, like I heard the feedback from a newer player who had no previous experience with Lizardmen, right? Didn't know anything about them, was coming into the fluff cold, and sort of, like, was told this story, and was like, that's completely awesome. I've never thought of something like that. That's really sweet. So I mean, like, I'm not going to sit around and judge it and be like, oh, that's terrible, it's bad. I think that that is a really interesting idea. It's always tough, right, though, when you go to something so different, when you had such an established thing.
Yeah. Like one thing I thought was really going to change was sort of like, well, not change, but I wanted to see how they were going to take that Aztec aesthetic and bring it into the new setting. And I don't know if either one of you have seen any of the new artwork from the book, but holy crap, like they went to work hard and it works. Like it is like there's a full spread of lizardmen going up against the Khorne Bloodbound, and it's basically this giant like shooting star that's hit the ground, and Saurus are just pouring out of it, coming towards the Bloodbound, and I mean it is just on point, amazing artwork. Like they really, really, I didn't think they were going to be able to do it, but they did.
Sure. I have heard the same thing. It also, I flipped through a little of the art. It has my favorite picture. I don't want to say that's ever been in a Warhammer book, but I will say it's probably top 5 of all time, and my favorite one that has been in an Age of Sigmar book. And it even is focusing mainly on a Nurgle model, and I love it. Okay? And that is, have either of you seen the Plague Bearer selfie?
No.
Okay, so you'll have to flip through your book again, but there's a picture in there somewhere where you're like, your focal point is sort of in the far off here, right?
Yeah.
Right up front, sort of at the bottom of the picture, the biggest thing closest to you is a plague bearer who's turned around. Like the action's behind him, he's sort of turned around to you, the viewer, and he's got his hand out like this, okay, but his hand is actually off camera like mine is, and he's clearly like waving his other people like, come on, let's go kill him. Right? But there's like a sort of bright flash sort of here. It's happened to be, it's supposed to be, I think, one of the Lizardmen comics, but it's happening to be, the horizon line looks like it's happening here, and it looks like he's taking a selfie of himself, and he's super smiling and very happy.
Okay.
So there's like this plague bearer selfie photo where it looks like he ran into the battle, and before he jumped in, he turned around, and he was like, click. Yeah, that's a good one.
Hashtag killing some lizards.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
No. Killing memories.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting, and I think it was. I'm personally, as someone who never really had much invested in Lizardmen, honestly, I always found their Aztec stuff like I didn't care about that. I look at this. I'm not trying to be mean. If people loved it, I have nothing but respect for fluff. Fluff is like personal aesthetic with models, like some things catch with you, some things don't. It never caught me. So to me, I'm like, yeah, that's a cool way to spin it. That's fine. And it explains totally why they still look like they do, right? Because it's just the Slann remembering how they were. Although part of me wants to be like Tom Hardy from Inception, right? When he walks out and he the guy's got like a pistol and Tom Hardy walks out with like an RPG and he's like, why don't you dream a little bigger? And I'm like, at the same time, like I feel almost like the same things at play here. Like, come on, Slann, if you're just dreaming this stuff up and remembering it, why don't you remember them about 3 times as large as they were before?
They did. It's called Engine of the Gods.
Well, that's a good point. They did remember that better than it used to be.
It's not just like, the thing is like they could have made it bigger. It's like they're not, I don't think, like, to take this into literal terms, they're like just gonna bring that guy back infinite times. You know what I mean? Like if he goes down, he's coming back.
Sure. So now let's get to something that I think is really relevant from this, at least to me and my sort of feeling on the world of Age of Sigmar. Okay, this is the 3rd immortal force we've introduced, right? Like the Slann can die theoretically, but they don't have to put themselves into harm's way very often, right? And so, as far as all of the actual warriors of this army go, they are effectively immortal.
And technically,
just keep getting remembered back into existence over and over and over and over again.
technically we've had Sylvaneth, Nurgle, demons, and Skaven. You know, the plague monks. Like none of those are like all of those. There's just a profusion of all of those things. It's not like there's no actual threat to any of those forces.
Well, I mean, you're like Skaven maybe, but that's just on numbers, right? Like they die. You kill a rat, he's dead.
Right.
You know,
But
I mean, Skaven always had numbers beyond counting. That's
Right.
nothing new. That was their classic story.
But it effectively makes their force immortal. It's like, you know, they'll just keep multiplying. Like, that's part of their narrative.
Sure, but in the old world, could they ever have died to a man? I mean, probably not. You know, so like, my point being, this is true immortality, right?
Yeah.
You can summon a horde of lizardmen, they can get killed to a man. The number of lizardmen in existence has not changed. If they came for the enemies of. It's interesting because I think that's why they have the celestial demon thing, because they can always come back. They're, you know, like you said, they're those holy demons, right? The demonic part is sort of the immortality. The celestial part is the is how they're made, because they're made of star stuff, like you pointed out. They bleed starlight.
And
So
dream.
if you feel like it in your hobby time, you can sprinkle some glitter all over your lizardman things.
Oh man, who's going to be the first person that does the Age of Sigmar Lizardman force and like has them battle damaged with like cuts, leaking like light and stuff out, creating OSL effects all over them?
Or how about you could do it with not only glitter, you could do it with like the 3-dimensional hologram paint.
Yes, they're all full of starlight. So I think it's really interesting. It's definitely a different take. I will give it to them that it's a clever way to tell a story where they can use all the old models and keep the aesthetic that I think a lot of people loved. I mean, I know, at least to me, the people who loved Lizardmen really loved that aesthetic and thought it looked awesome, and probably didn't want it to change very much.
Yeah.
I did hear a lot of cries of like, please release all new Lizardmen with a completely new aesthetic. That's not a common sentiment that I ever heard espoused, right?
No, we just wanted new Cold One Riders, goddammit.
I wouldn't be worried.
Everyone has some weaknesses.
I wouldn't be worrying about Cold One Riders anymore.
Yeah, I think that
they remember those
I think
correctly.
what you got to do, and you've got to find your the old skink Cold One Riders back from like Teeny Weenie's Force. I think that's actually who it was.
I have some of those. No.
They weren't perhaps the most intimidating Cold Ones, but the Skinks were adorable. You've got to give them that. Those were adorable little cavalry. They were so cute. All right, so but of course, as always, we want to know what you think about the story elements we've discussed. Do you have the tome? Have you read it? What do you think about the way the Lizardmen have been cast in the Age of Sigmar? Do you want to see them come back? Like, do you want to see the Salon regenerate them, build a new little home where we've got some Lizardmen running free? It would be like the Jurassic World to the Jurassic Park. That's what it is, right?
Realm of Beast.
We could get a new Imperious Rex version of the Saurus or something. It would be fantastic. Yes. So with that, let's turn from the fluff to some crunchy time. So some winners and losers out of Saurus. I thought we would keep this a little shorter today because I wanted to spend plenty of time talking through the story and things like that. But we did get a whole new set of War Scrolls. And by new, I mean the same War Scrolls, but some of them have different names. Although there is one fun, but it's interesting that they didn't cut out the old ones. They left, if you've got the app, you've still got the old Lizardman War Scrolls, and now you've got the new Seraphon ones too. So theoretically, it's all good. I think that's going to be the general attitude of GW going forward. Anybody who's worried about them taking any of your toys away, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think in general their attitude is going to be, nope, just keep it. It's fine. We don't care. And so let's turn to some winners and losers. I thought we'd each do, since this is a top 3 kind of episode, I thought we'd do our top 3 winners and top 3 losers. And we'll go 1 winner, 1 loser each around the horn 3 times. So, Marrok, you, as always, are our blessed and cursed guest, so you get to start us off. Give us a winner and why, give us a loser and why. Go ahead.
Our winner, without a doubt, is the Sora Sunblood. Why? Because he is completely BA. This guy is using a Celestite Mace. He is rocking 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, -1 rend, 1 damage. He has 2, count them, 2 bite attacks. Not just 1, 2. Hitting on 4s, wounded on 3s, 1 damage. But where he comes into his own is on his special ability called Furious Rage, where if he rolls a 6 to hit, he gets D3 wound rolls. And if he rolls a 6 to wound, he gets D3 wounds instead of just 1. So he is rocking 7 wounds with a 4-up save. He's ignoring up to -3 rend with his big Aeon shield. He is a winner. Winner.
Sounds. I accept. You have made your case on that one. That kind of rend ignoring is just insane, and that is really the name of the game when it comes to Lizardmen. I'm sure we're all gonna touch on it multiple times. But the Lizardmen rend, I think, is one of the deciding power factors of a unit. Like really, and Lizardmen just throw that equation right out the window.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what's your loser?
Regular skinks.
Yep.
Yep. They got a T-shirt save and their poison's gone. Enough said.
Yeah.
That's
the
true.
only minor thing I will give them in their defense is they do have that rather fun withdraw ability where they can kind of run away instead of fight, which does give them some tactical uses, right, as far as like screens and skirmisher units and stuff like that. That being said, I agree with rating them as a loser.
It should be mentioned that they're one of the only units that actually have a real range attack.
Sure. Well, I mean, other than like the War Machine units or whatever.
When we get to my next winner, you'll understand why they're in the loser.
No, I understand that. No, I already know where you're going with that. You don't need to. I do. But yes, like if you're looking at just standard range attacks, they're one of the only ones that bring like a 16-inch range, right? Like a true range attack. That said, they're still terrible.
Garbage attack. Yeah, it's like 5 up, 5 up, and even in its best case, it goes to like 3 up, 5 up.
Yeah,
well,
it's junk. But it's what Lizardmen in general have, unless you're buying monsters.
Sure. All right, so Tom, give us your number 3 winner and loser.
Okay, so my number 3, like my worst loser and winner, or are you just?
I don't care.
Okay. So my winner, so like in the exception-based system, it's models that break the rules that are going to be the winners. Like in general, anybody that's like playing in the space of breaking the general rules in dramatic and terrible ways. And there's no one that in this army that does that better than Lord Croak.
Okay.
First of all, he doesn't obey normal wound rolls. Okay. So he has a star number of wounds. And what that means is that he like at the end of each turn, what you do is you add up how many wounds he's taken and you roll a d6. If that total is higher than his bravery, which is 10, then he dies. Otherwise, he doesn't.
And he heals back to full.
He heals back to full.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever that is. Exactly. So he has these weird rules that like most people aren't necessarily going to be debuffing bravery, like it's going to happen occasionally, but so on average you're going to need to do like reliably to put him in give him a 50-50 chance of putting him in the ground. You need to have done 6 wounds to him in one round. That's reliably that's going to have to happen. And then it just gets wonky from there. So he also casts 4 spells per round. So he's not Nagash, but damn it, he's getting close. Like he is approaching Nagash level casting, and his casting doesn't scale. It's a flat 4. He also, one of his spells, Celestial Deliverance, is a big PBAOE, does a D3 wounds to like basically everything within 3d6 inches of him. And he can cast it up to 3 times per round. The spell was so good we had to tweak it in Mordheim to make it not what that is. Otherwise it was clearing entire battlefields, which we have a battle report. Right. I have a report of that happening. Where somebody, like a little skink priest, just ran in casting that and just blowing up entire warbands. Yeah, and he can throw it 3 times around. Obviously, it's different when you have a bunch of troops, multi-wound troops, and units and stuff like that. But it's still a really good spell. And then on top of that, his command ability. It's impeccable foresight. What it does is he tosses 3 dice when he utilizes his ability. On a 4-up, that dice, whatever that value is, becomes a... let me verify this. It becomes a...
is it a reroll?
I think it's a reroll. I had it down here as it becomes a reroll. So if it's 4-up, you can use that to then reroll another dice. So if you fail that wound roll you need to really put down, you can use it. If you need to reroll damage, you can use it. If you auto pass, you can use it to get a chance to upgrade a spell, that like cast on a higher DC. You could use it for battle shock tests. Or how about his innumerable ages ability that like that you needed to roll like a 1 or a 2 and you failed on? Well, guess what? He has a shot of dropping that again and staying on the table. He's just crazy. Like he's banging on he's cheating all across the board. If there's a category, he is probably cheating it.
Breaking the rules. All right, so we all know the mighty Lord Croak, Frog amongst frogs, is a good winner. So who's your loser?
Jungle Swarm. Man, I really wanted.
You bastard! I was gonna try to steal Jungle Swarm too.
I wanted to love these guys, like I really did, and I was really hoping when we got into Age of Sigmar the swarms would have some use. And what they have is they have a really crappy healing ability. And what I mean by that is, like, you compare it to other swarms that heal, like the Nurgle swarm, it's basically the exact same offense, but the difference is this. If it takes damage and it's not killed, then it just regens back up to full hit points. Now, that is a far shot difference than this Jungle Swarm, which heals 1d3 wounds if it's within 3 inches of a terrain piece. So it's just like we're not even in the same ballpark in the comparison between these two things, so it's very disappointing, is what I would say. And then again, the offense is lackluster, even compared to the Nurgle, where the Nurgle is doing mortal wounds, like a D3 mortal wounds if it did any wounds, like it can trigger that. Where this is like it can kind of do poison wounds. So it's not impressive.
I would also point out that it's so unimpressive. It's the only war scroll that I know of that didn't make the jump.
Oh,
it is not in the Seraphon list. No, it's only in the old Lizardman list. It did not come across into the Jungle Swarms. They were like, no need to reprint this piece of garbage, and they cut it.
We're like, we don't need snakes. We got giant turtle things.
Yeah, apparently, the Slann don't remember snakes. They've
chosen to forget them.
They're easily forgotten.
Yeah. I found that to be particularly funny. So there you go. So apparently even GW agrees with you, Tom, that is a loser.
Of course they do.
All right. So mine is going to seem strange, okay? But here's my winner and loser. They go together. Winner, I want to make sure I use the right name because I always get these two dummies confused. Yes. Saurus Oldblood on Carnosaur. Loser, Saurus Scar Veteran on Carnosaur. Okay? Why? No, it's not that the Scar Vet's particularly bad. In fact, get rid of the Old Blood. I think he's quite good. The problem is, now that Lord, whatever his name was, Krokgar, yeah, Krokgar, that's who it was. Now that he's not Krokgar and he's just Old Blood, he is clearly better than the
in every way.
Yeah, possibly. Now I can hear somebody out there saying, but Vince, the Scarvet's command ability is better than the Old Bloods. And I agree with you. But here's my pushback. Why is that dummy leading your army? Like, only one person's command ability matters, and it's going to be a Slann, And his command ability, even the base Slan Star Master's command ability rules. Like giving a huge bubble of flight and crap. Good lord. With like the mobility of Skinks and your army to just let them fly and like suddenly have them retreating out of fights over buildings and bringing in other hammer units into the front and stuff. Just deciding combats when he starts activating that stuff.
Yep.
It's a super tactical ability, and I love it. And that would be my command ability. If I want the Scarvet guy, or sorry, the Old Blood guy on the Carnosaur, if I brought a lizard on a dinosaur, I brought that thing to eat people. And that guy does it way better than the Scarvet. That is just simply the bottom line. He's got his shooty laser beam gun, or gauntlet, as you might call it. His bite is just ridiculously more damaging. Yeah, it's banging on all cylinders. So there you go. Unfortunately, Krokar becoming generic meant the regular Scarvet has no reason to exist. That's why he's a loser. All right, Marrok, back to you. Your next winner-loser combo.
My next winner is Nightcrawler. I mean, Chameleon Skinks.
That's fair.
Yep.
Okay, so Chameleon Skinks are rocking a t-shirt save of 6+, if they're not in terrain. If they're in terrain, they're rocking a 3-up save, which is, whoa,
Grommal armor.
Nuts. Yeah. And that's like before you put Arcane Shield on them or whatever. Like, that's just insane. Next up, they're dart pipes. They get 2 shots at 16 inches, and if you roll a 6, it does double damage. Like, what the hell is that? And if you're a Chaos Demon, it does 3 damage. Yep. Yes, please. Oh, and let's not forget their best ability ever. In your movement phase, you can just take them off the board and say they're in hiding. And then in your next hero phase, you can be like, bam, they're over here now, anywhere on the board. Anywhere.
Anywhere,
even in a terrain feature.
Yeah. Can I actually put a finer point on this? More than anywhere. It's not just anywhere. It's anywhere, meaning that it's like not place them farther than 9 inches from an enemy unit.
Correct. They could be standing an inch off of somebody's butt. Well,
they could be dry humping another model's leg when they come onto the board.
I think they still have to heed the 3-inch model.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Okay.
Really
close. Who cares?
It says
they can be really close.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, you could place them in a way, like in a Congo line, to cut off movement. Like, tactically, suddenly these guys become roadblocks because they can teleport in anywhere and literally just suddenly be a picket line. Yeah. And they even, and here's like the other thing, that the way that this ends up like turning very weird is that if they're within 3 inches and you get to a combat phase, you can activate them and they can pile in. So they ignore the actual charge rule because they never charged. So if the enemy has like a triggering charge rule, like a stand and shoot style ability or whatever when they're charged, those chameleons that have just popped in don't trigger that.
Can just dodge it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's not run all over Marrok here too hard. We all clearly agree chameleons are bonkers. Absolutely.
Here's just one thing on top of the Chameleon Skink there. If you're charging them into anything, you're doing it wrong.
Sure. No, but my point is, why take regular skinks? Like you just take Chameleon Skinks and then just teleport everywhere and can reform like their own like battlement terrain pieces around of just bodies.
To the final Empire Halberdier, so they can claim their last gruesome victim, shot down his 30 friends, and he's like standing there alone, shaking. You know, that's why, just for fun, for funsies.
And
all right, what's your loser?
My loser is the old Teto Echo, and my reasoning for this is he's sort of like a big fig, so he's like a big target, and he's got sort of a shitty save, and they just introduced in the new book a new, I can't remember if it's the Star Priest or if it's called something else. I think it's the Star Seer,
right? The little skink in the chair. The skink
no, yeah, I know he's the Star Seer, but there's another war scroll that they added in. Like we had the Skink Priest before that could have the feather cloak or the priestly trappings. There's another one now that actually lets.
The Star Priest.
Hmm?
The Star Priest is the new is the one new.
Yeah. Yes. He is like this weird in-between wizard. Like, you'll notice the Skink Priest, like the old one that we had, didn't have the wizard keyword.
Right.
So he couldn't sort of dispel spells or do any of that sort of stuff. And if you were wanting to do that, you actually had to take a slam. So this Star Seer that we had was a wizard, but, you know, crappy save, all that stuff. Now we have this other little skink that you can hide anywhere, and he has the wizard keyword now too, so you don't actually have to take a slam.
Yep.
But you're going to because it's a freaking slam, which is the main reason why this model is a loser, because why would you take a skink seer when you can just take a slam? There's no point.
Yeah, he's always been a second-rate slam. Yeah, sure. All right, I like it. Tommy, what about you? Round 2, winner, loser. What do you got?
So winner, for me, like I'm like, can I steal your what your winner is? I have a feeling I know what it is already, but I'm gonna do it again. Sorry. So Engine of the Gods is the winner. Because here's the deal. This thing's basically a time walk.
It's basically a time walk.
It's basically no. So this goes back to the rule breaking thing that I was talking about. Like, yes, it's slow. Yes, it's low on wounds. But its cosmic engine ability is tits. Like, there's no other way to describe how good it is. Like, on an average, like you're basically throwing a spell every turn with it. That's no counter. There's no way to stop it. There's a variety of random effects, but like on a completely average roll, if you have a slaw nearby, maybe Lord Croak, you're going to throw a 25-inch range direct damage ability that does a d6 mortal wounds with no counter. Like, that's the default ability. And on the high end, you summon free troops and you get extra turns. Like, yeah. I don't even know what to say. Like, okay, it's slow and it's low wounds. Guess what? I don't want this anything anywhere near any of the fighting anyways. So yeah, so it's basically a time walk. And why not have multiples? Like, yeah, sure, let's throw 3.
Double your fun, double your pleasure with double Engine of the Gods.
Yep. Yeah, it's bonkers. My bad. Let me just say that in general, like, this army was good, and it was hard to find this many bad units. That said, Source Cav are pretty bad. Like, man, damn it, I wanted them to be good. I wanted to have a reason to see Source Cav standing across from me. And guess what? GW did not give me that reason.
Yeah, that's fair. They're garbage. They don't have a good enough save. They don't hit hard enough. They don't have much of a roll. That being said, I think that it's because those figs are old and crappy, and they were like, well, we're not redoing those anytime soon. So give them the Treekin treatment.
Yeah, and that's possible. It's disappointing, is what I would say.
Sure. So for me, again, I like paired combinations, so I'm going to go for another pair. Winner, Salamander. Loser, Razordon. Okay? The Razordon is fine. Again, it's not that he's terrible. It's that he's terrible compared to his Liberty brother. And I'm assuming you only have so many of these things you're going to put on the table. And by the way, why would you put more Razordons on the table ever when you could just take more Salamanders if that's the road we're going down? Salamanders spit cannonballs. That's the reality. It's 3-up, 3-up, -2, d6.
That's cannonball.
It's the same number hit, and same rend, same damage. Now, it's only a 12-inch range, assuming you got a little poker, but you're going to have a little poker. You know, just poking them along. But they're also, you know, a lot easier to take en masse, and 3 of those guys wandering forward just spitting cannonballs into units. That's not pleasant. That is not pleasant. And God forbid a character wander anywhere near them. Like a single character on foot who wanders into that range, see you later. Like, that guy is now a flaming pile of ash on the ground, right?
Yep.
Whereas the Razordon just lacks the rend to get the job done. You know, a character could, he makes a bunch of shots, but who cares? Like, you know, somebody who's really tough or something like that can just shake all that off. So yeah, Razordon, loser, Salamander, crazy good winner. Love it. All right, Marrok, final round. Your final winner and loser. What do you got?
My winner is, well, this will be a pair. So my winner is the Bastiladon with his laser beam backpack.
Yep.
And my loser is the Bastiladon with his Ark of Sotek backpack. Okay, so just to talk a little bit about the Bastiladon, we're talking about 8 wounds, 3 up save, 10 bravery. Movement's only, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5. It's low, 4, there you go. And we are talking, ignoring rend completely. Just no to rend. Laser beam, we're shooting out 2d6 shots that are wounded on 3s, minus 2 rend, I believe, and 1 damage. And yeah, it's just beautiful. And then you've got the Ark of Sotek, which is, making and healing jungle swarms. So what the hell do you want that for?
Yeah, it's bad. And also the mechanic with which you deal damage with those snakes.
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's insane. It's just insane. Like you've got to get out a calculator, abacus. You have to 37 dice need to be rolled. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
How about I just shoot you with a giant laser beam and turn you to dust? Can I just do that instead? Like, let's make that choice.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, 4 up, 3 up on that laser, neg 1 rend, 2 damage, and 2d6 shots. What? And doesn't that thing do more damage against demons? It's like 3 damage.
It goes up to 3. Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing with the Seraphim though. They hate them some demons.
Well, it doesn't matter. It is a mobile artillery platform, and it is replacing all of your range stuff, and that's okay.
Because it's a tank, and it can do that.
Yeah, it really is. It's true. Tank is the perfect word. Yeah, because that thing is so damn hard to bring down. That 3-up basically invulnerable save, right? That's what that is. That thing has a 3-up word save, basically in terms of AOS. Now, it can still be mortal wounded around that, but
if you do mortal wounds, it's a 4-up save.
Yeah.
It has a
Yeah. So it's a Phoenix Guard in disguise as a lizard.
I'd like to think that there's just 2 Phoenix Guard inside it, driving it around like a horse, like it's 2 elf horse costume. Yeah.
It'd have to be 3. It would have to be 3 because you need 1 guy for the tail.
That's fair. They just got him shoved down there.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Nobody wants to be the tail elf. You really drew the short straw. All right. I like it. Yes, I agree completely. All right, Tommy, what do you got for your final winner and loser?
I'm actually going to bow out of this last round because I had honorable mentions for everything, but everything's been mentioned on both sides. Like what I'll say is this: most of the rest of the army's good. Like it's just the numbers were good. Like I had a really hard time finding bad stuff, and I love where these guys are at, like numbers wise. Like they're a compelling force. They have weak range, but you know what? That's okay. They also have tanks.
True. I will go ahead and go because nobody's mentioned my final one, which is my final pairing of the night. I went all pairings. I went themed, and that's Rippers and Pterodons. I just like Rippers so much better, and I think that if played smartly, Ripperdactyls are just insane. They're insane. They will cause units to be vaporized, big units to be vaporized. Like proper use of their toad and all of their other things and any kind of bonus, because they just keep generating attacks and keep generating attacks.
Which, let me just say, kudos to them. Like that definitely gets honorable mention in all of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar for best pun.
Sure.
With the Toad Rage?
The Toad Rage, yes. Rippers are so redonkulous in what they can achieve when they just put all their specials together with even the most minimal amount of support, as long as it aligns with their Toad. I mean, just like they're going, hey, that was a 30-man unit of pretty tough troops. Nope. There they went. Now they're just missed. Right? And like pterodons are neat, they have some decent ranged attacks, but it's just not on the same level. Your ability to drop a dumb rock and do a couple mortal wounds does not equal the infinite attack generating machine and just pure death magic that is the Ripper Dipper Doo. So there you go. For Reef out there, you got your wish, buddy. The Ripper Doos are just monsters in this edition. So again, that makes the pterodons the loser because you're just not modeling them, you're not playing them. That role is going to get filled by rippers. So there you go. All right. So that's our breakdown of the winners and losers and of the story of the Lizardmen. Did we get it right? What do you think? What are your choices? I agree with Tom. I think it's a great army overall. I think it really is in a good position. I mean, as I said, a lot of my losers were only losers by virtue of the fact that there's even a better choice, right? Yeah, it's like old school High Elves where like even their bad stuff was still pretty good. Marrok, what are your final thoughts there as we close out our time with the Lizardmen tonight?
Final thoughts. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what they've done. Little bit disappointed that we didn't get any like new war scrolls. Like instead of just taking the name off of the top and plastering Sora Soul Blood on top, come on. Come on.
Come on. Yeah, sure. Not one new kit, right? Sure.
Yeah, but you know,
they could have dreamed of something else. Just one thing.
That's right. Just one thing. But other than that, I no complaints here.
Cool. I like it. I will take a quick moment, real fast here, Tom. I'm going to throw it to you in a second, just for your final thoughts. But while you're gathering them, to remind everybody who's watching, don't forget about the contest Marrok announced at the top of the show. Put your favorite special character or character name or whatever hero, Lizardman hero, down below here in the comments. And next week we will randomly select somebody who left the comment, and Marrok is going to sculpt from up that Lizardman special character for you and send it to you absolutely free of charge. An awesome offer from a very, very good sculptor. Super cool contest. So looking forward to lots of great responses below. Let's see them down there, folks. I want to have lots of names in the hat next week to draw from. Don't let me down. So there you go. Put your name down there. Put your the character you want, and obviously maybe you'll win. All right, Tom. Any final thoughts as we close it out here?
Yeah, guys, more feedback on more time. We're making progress. We're getting a lot of good balance stuff. We're getting a lot of reflections on. We're making things work now. You know, there's Way Watchers actually in the Wood Elf Warband.
Finally.
For Way Watchers, yeah. Oops.
Sorry, Way Watchers. Yeah, we're making progress, and lots of good feedback. More.
I've got one question.
Shoot.
Where's the Chameleon Skink champion?
He doesn't get one. Like, there's none on the War Scroll.
Yeah, there is. He's called the Alpha. Chameleon Skink Alpha.
Really?
He shoots one extra time.
That's unfortunate. We'll have to look at that.
Uh-oh. I have to add that to the list.
Yeah.
Go. All right.
I will say this. That's the last thing that the Chameleon Skinks need is entire units of teleporting troops.
Hey, I don't see a problem with it. I don't like it. Everybody's got crazy. It's a crazy time in the City of the Damned. As always, we'll put the link to our Mordheim rules down below. We're always working to evolve it. We love feedback on it. Any questions, anything like that, you can always email me. You can comment on the original video. You can send me a smoke signal or a carrier pigeon or an owl from Harry Potter. Whatever works to get the feedback. We certainly appreciate it. But I will say that's down below. As always, I'll post the information on the budget of Sigmar in case you're interested in that project and you want to participate. We are still only in month 2, so you could easily catch up and get on board for the community building or the community army building project that is the budget of Sigmar. Lots of great links. Marrok's channel. Go there, subscribe to him, see all the great terrain he's making, what he's working on. It's a lot of cool stuff. as always, we appreciate very much you watching. It was a super fun time. Marrok, thanks for coming on, buddy. Not your first rodeo, and of course, you know that you're welcome back anytime. We are always glad to have you. To all of you out there, thank you for watching, and as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.